Imagine losing, say, an item, or maybe suffering really serious damage to your heart. And that goes back perfectly.
Yeah, like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
No scars, full function.
It sounds completely like science fiction, doesn't it? But for some animals, it's just, well, it's just biology.
It really is. It's this incredible natural power. And honestly, it makes you wonder why we can't do it. Why do we get stuck with scars?
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our deep dive today is all about animal regeneration. That amazing ability some life forms have to, recreate tissues, organs, even whole body parts.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission really is twofold. First, we want to get into the nuts and bolts. How does this actually work? And second, maybe the bigger question. Why have humans seemingly lost this superpower?
Right. We're looking for that switch, that molecular moment where healing goes down the perfect regeneration path instead of the scarring path that we're so familiar with.
And you really can't talk regeneration without bringing up the absolute superstar, the axolotl ambystoma mexicanum. You see them everywhere online. They're kind of these internet darlings.
They are adorable, aren't they? And part of that look, those sort of feathery gills they keep as adults, is because they're neotenic.
Neotenic, meaning?
Meaning they keep their juvenile features their whole lives. They never fully metamorphose like most salamanders. So they look like, well, forever babies.
Yeah.
And that trait is deeply connected to their biology.
They're not just cute faces, though. They are like the benchmark for perfect repair.
Oh, absolutely. They are the cream of the crop among salamander regenerators, probably the most regenerative vertebrate we know of, which is why they're so crucial for research, hundreds of thousands in labs worldwide.
That many, wow.
Yeah, but here's the tragic irony. While they're thriving in labs, they're almost completely gone in the wild, critically endangered.
Really? Where are they from originally?
They're native to just 2 lakes, or what's left of them, near Jucamilco in southern Mexico City. It's this stark contrast, a global research icon basically extinct in its natural home.
That's quite sobering. Okay, let's focus on their abilities then. What exactly can they regenerate? Because it's more than just a tail.
Right. Oh, much more. We're talking entire limbs, bone, muscle, nerves, blood vessels, everything. They can repair major damage to their organs, regenerate bits of their spinal cord, even parts of their brain.
Parts of their brain. Without losing function.
Without any functional loss, and crucially, without any scarring. It's seamless.
And this next part really blows my mind, especially thinking about human medicine. They can accept transplants.
Yes. Their immune system is incredibly tolerant. You can transplant organs, even limbs, from one axolotl to another, and they generally just accept it. No rejection.
That's unbelievable. Think of the implications for human transplants.
Exactly. And there's more. They're also highly resistant to cancer, something like 1,000 times more resistant than many other lab animals.
Okay, so perfect repair and cancer resistance. This creature is just packed with biological secrets.
It really is. It's a puzzle we are incredibly eager to solve.
So let's get into the process. An axolotl loses a limb. What happens right away that's different from, say, if you or I got the same injury?
Okay, so the first thing is the wound seals over quite fast, within hours, actually. Similar to us.
Right, we form a scab.
We do, but that scab is the beginning of a scar. For us, it's fibrous, it's messy. For the axolotl, that initial covering, the wound epidermis, immediately starts sending out strong chemical signals.
Signals to call in the construction crew.
Pretty much. Those signals trigger the formation of something called a blastema.
The blastema. Okay, I've heard that term. What is it structurally?
You can picture it as a small mound or a cap of cells that gathers right there at the amputation site. And these aren't just any cells. Specialized cells from the surrounding tissue, muscles, skin, cartilage. They get the signal and start migrating to that spot.
Wait, if they're already specialized, like a muscle cell is a muscle cell, how do they suddenly know how to build a whole new limb?
This is where the magic happens. It's called dedifferentiation. Those specialized cells, essentially, forget their day jobs. They revert back to an earlier, more flexible state. They become progenitor cells.
Progenitor cells. Now, we hear stem cells a lot. Are these the same thing? How should we think about them differently?
That's a really important distinction. Progenitor cells are descendants of stem cells, you could say, but they're more restricted. They're lineage committed, meaning a progenitor cell derived from limb tissue is generally going to make limb tissue. It can't usually turn into, say, an eyeball cell or a heart cell, and they can't divide infinitely like some stem cells can. They have a job to do, rebuild the structure, and then they're done.
So they know what kind of building they're supposed to be working on, but maybe not the exact room yet.
That's a decent analogy, and the blastema itself acts like the foreman and holds the blueprints. It's not just a jumble of cells. There are complex chemical gradients, positional cues, that tell the cells exactly where they are. Are you near the shoulder, near the wrist, and what specific part they need to form next?
Fascinating. So without that organization, it would just be a lump of tissue.
Exactly. Chaos. The blastema provides both the materials and the instructions for orderly reconstruction.
Okay, so the blastema is formed, the progenitor cells are ready and organized. What's phase 2? The actual regrowth.
Right. This is what's called blastema-mediated redevelopment. The blastema starts to grow outwards, usually in a sort of cone shape. Inside that cone, the progenitor cells start redifferentiating, specializing again according to those positional cues.
So they become muscle, bone, nerve again.
Precisely. Following the original plan, layer by layer, structure by structure, it continues until the limb is rebuilt as an exact copy of the one that was lost. Same size, same anatomy, same function, perfect restoration.
It's just stunning. But the axolotl, while maybe the champion, isn't alone in the regeneration club. Let's look around the animal kingdom a bit.
Definitely. We absolutely have to mention planarians, flatworms. These guys are regeneration superheroes.
In what way? Faster? More complete?
Both. You can chop a planarian into tiny pieces, and basically each piece can regrow an entire new worm. Head, tail, everything. And they do it fast weeks, sometimes even just days.
Well, any catches?
Well, yes. If a fragment is too small and can't eat right away, it has to use its stored resources. So the regenerated worm might end up smaller than the original, at least until it can find food again. Survival first, perfect size later.
Makes sense. Okay, moving from flatworms to starfish.
Yes, starfish, or sea stars. Many, like the ochre sea star, can do something similar. They can regenerate a whole new body from just a single arm.
The one arm.
As long as a piece of the central disc, the main body part, is still attached to that arm, that's because their vital organs are sort of distributed in that central area.
And don't they sometimes drop their own arms?
They do. It's a defense mechanism called autotomy. If a predator grabs an arm, the starfish can just detach it and escape, sacrifice a part to save the whole.
Clever. But it takes a while to grow back, I imagine.
Much slower than the axolotl or planarian. It can take a year, sometimes even longer, for a starfish to fully regenerate.
So different strategies. Now, lizards also do that autotomy thing with their tails, right? To distract predators.
Exactly. The tail keeps wiggling after it's dropped, grabbing the predator's attention while the lizard makes a run for it.
But the tail that grows back, it's not quite the same, is it?
No, it's an example of imperfect regeneration. Unlike the axolotl's perfect bony limb, the regenerated lizard tail is mostly made of cartilage.
Cartilage instead of bone. Why the difference? Is it just easier?
It seems to be an evolutionary trade-off. Making bone is complex, requires a lot of energy and time. Cartilage is, relatively speaking, cheaper and faster to produce. So the lizard gets a functional, if not perfect, tail back more quickly, which helps with balance and movement. Speed over perfection.
Function first. Okay, what about things like crabs or shrimp? Crustaceans.
Good example. Crustaceans like Palamon hoyensis can regenerate lost legs. They do it fairly quickly, maybe a couple of weeks. But the first replacement leg is usually piney, kind of underdeveloped.
So not immediately useful.
Not fully. But here's the clever part. They grow in stages. Every time the crustacean molt sheds its exoskeleton, the regenerated leg gets bigger and more developed. After a few molts, it can become indistinguishable from the original leg. It's like a planned, phased repair process.
That's neat, a multi-step regeneration.
Okay.
We've covered limbs and tails. What about internal organs?
For that, the zebrafish is a fantastic model. They regenerate their fins using a blastema, much like the axolotl.
Okay.
But they can also regenerate complex internal tissues, parts of their retina, their spinal cord, kidneys, and maybe, most importantly for us, their heart.
They can regenerate heart tissue.
Yes. They can regrow up to 20% of their heart muscle, the ventricle, after injury. And crucially, they do it without forming scar tissue.
Wow. Okay, that brings us right back to the human problem, doesn't it? Scar tissue. Heart disease is the biggest killer of humans worldwide.
And so much of that comes down to scarring. When our heart muscle is damaged, say by a heart attack, the body rushes to patch it up with stiff, fibrous scar tissue.
Which helps initially, right? Stops it falling apart.
Exactly. It prevents immediate rupture. But long-term, that scar tissue doesn't contract like healthy heart muscle. It's stiff, it reduces the heart's efficiency, and eventually it can lead to heart failure. We traded long-term function for a quick, strong patch.
So why? Why did we evolve this way? If axolotls and zebrafish can manage perfect repair, why did mammals seemingly opt for the quick and dirty scar?
That's the huge evolutionary question. The leading theory is that maybe, back when vertebrates first moved onto land, arachnid wound sealing was more important for immediate survival.
How so?
Well, think about preventing infection, stopping massive blood loss in a potentially harsher environment. A quick scar might have offered a better chance of surviving the initial injury, even if it caused problems down the line. So maybe it's not that we can't regenerate, but that our scarring response kicks in too fast and basically blocks it.
The scar gets there first and slams the door on regeneration.
That's the idea. And there's research backing this up. Scientists have actually introduced the key cells involved in human scarring immune cells called macrophages into axolotls right after inducing heart damage.
And what happened?
It was remarkable. Introducing those human-like scar-promoting macrophages blocked the axolotls' natural heart regeneration. Instead of perfect repair, their hearts formed scars, just like ours do.
So the scarring mechanism itself seems to be the active inhibitor.
It strongly suggests that, yes, which leads to a tantalizing possibility.
What if we could somehow pause or delay that initial scar formation in humans, just long enough to let a different pathway take over?
That's the hope. That's the direction a lot of research is heading. And, genetically, we might have the toolkit already. Humans and salamanders share a common ancestor way back, maybe 330 million years ago, around the time limbs were first evolving.
So the genes for regeneration might still be there, just locked away or silenced.
It's entirely possible, overridden by the powerful scar-forming pathway that gave us an edge millions of years ago.
So studying these amazing regenerators, axolotls, zebrafish, planarians, it's not just biological curiosity. It's fundamental to tackling some of the biggest human health challenges.
Absolutely critical. Understanding how they flipped that switch from scar to regeneration could unlock therapies for heart disease, spinal cord injury, degenerative diseases, maybe even just help us heal better from everyday injuries. It goes way beyond regrowing a limb.
So quick recap.
Yeah.
We've seen the axolotl's near-perfect regeneration via the blastema, contrasted with the imperfect but functional regrowth in lizards, and the different strategies in starfish and flatworms. And it seems the key difference, the roadblock for us, is that rapid scarring response.
That seems to be a major piece of the puzzle. But think bigger for a second. Connect the axolotl's perfect regeneration with its incredible cancer resistance. If we could understand the fundamental biological pathways that allow both of those things, flawless repair and cellular stability, imagine the implications, it could change how we think about aging, chronic illness, injury recovery, everything. Maybe the potential isn't just about fixing damage, but about accessing a deeper, more resilient biological state that's still hidden somewhere in our own ancient genetic code. That's the really profound question these creatures pose to us.